A lot of those bullets now have been engineered to function at that 1,200 foot per second to 900 foot per second range well, and through barrier, whatever that might be it drywall, be it clothing, auto glass, etc.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to Cartridge Talks Fully Loaded. This is Best for Home Defense. Now, Ryan, a little bit ago, and the folks, if they haven't, they can watch on the YouTube machine. We did a bit of a breakdown, a bit of a selection. We did some exercises, if you will.
Jazzercise.
Little jazzercise. Show me your jazz hands. Show me your jazz hands. We both picked our home defense horse, if you will.
Yep.
The implement that we thought would best suit our home defense needs, our home defense situation. Put them through their paces a little bit.
A little bit. Shot
them through a little course. Shot them into gel. Shot them through a very nice wall.
It was a good wall.
And if you want to watch all this go down, like I said, go to the YouTube channel. It's one of our Cartridge Talks episodes. And that's what we're recapping right now.
Some caveats.
What are they?
Well, we lift some very popular guns off the table.
Yes.
Namely, the AR-15.
Yep.
And then I had also brought a pistol caliber carbine, B&T GHM9.
Both extremely viable, effective solutions.
Yeah.
I would say that was one of my main worries with, I guess, how we orchestrated things, was I did not want to imply in any way, shape or form that
they were somehow deficient.
Yeah, because they are not.
But the selections that we made, Mark, that was for intent.
It was.
I want you to tell the listeners of this fine production why it is that you selected the 9mm auto pistol.
For me and my family situation, but I don't think that that's the only reason to select a pistol for your home defense needs. In fact, I think probably what most people are going to do, you could live on your own. I think that's probably what most folks are going to go with. I would speculate. I don't have any data to back this up. 9mm pistol, something I have a level of familiarity with.
It's a big part.
Yeah, and, Glock 19, the good old Glock 19. You're not going to go wrong with it.
Let's timestamp that statement.
I have a family.
Yep.
2 fairly little ones at home. And so for me, it was a matter of having a defensive platform that I could keep close at hand, a defensive platform that I could use with one hand, in the case I needed to shield or grab one of my little ones or
open
direct
door,
them somewhere,
run a flashlight.
Run a flashlight, exactly. But that I could keep locked up, by wherever you want to keep that, at your house. So keep it in, like a
lockbox, small safe.
Lockbox, small safe. What is the one that I have? It's the Hornady one.
It's a biometric safe.
It's a biometric safe,
yeah.
But if I wasn't trying to think of it right now, I'd remember the actual name.
Snap safe?
Of the product.
No, you don't have a snap safe. Hornady Vault. Whatever their biometric safe is.
Maybe MC Ryan can help. Their biometric. So you can put a little. You can put it on your cell phone, like so. Oftentimes, you go to bed. You go to bed scrolling. That helps you sleep. And you can open it with that. You can open it with a bracelet. You can open it with a code. So multiple points of entry if you have the ways to access it, which only I will have. And it's also something I can keep on my person, where it's like if I'm concealed carrying, which actually I haven't been, but I'm thinking about it.
The rapid safe.
The rapid safe. Yes.
I like how I always look at the little screen and squint. Like that's going to help. It's like when I'm using an angle grinder in my garage, I just squint.
What's the name for that?
Safety squints.
Safety squints,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's actually saved many an eyeball.
Oh, I'm certain it has. It doesn't get that namesake without.
No. Yeah, I mean those were my main points of why I selected that.
And it's a viable choice.
It's it's completely viable. I also like I said, it's something. It's like boom, you have it on your person, keep it there. You know, it's just. I think if you get in the habit of doing it, it's going to be a really good selection. The other reason was, we live in a neighborhood, right? We're not out in the country. If I need to investigate something, maybe somebody comes to my door that I don't know who they are, I can do that discreetly. If something's happening out in the street, I can do that discreetly, but also be prepared to defend myself and not potentially, escalate a situation, cause a scene. Alert.
Yep.
Get the cops called on me, So yeah, those were the main reasons. But I say this because it's something I need to work on. I also think it's the most difficult platform to shoot accurately.
Yeah. Yep. But it's also one that's economical. So proficiency can be gained relatively quickly.
And when you're talking about the room needed to acquire that proficiency, I think you're more inclined to find a pistol range close to you than anything else.
Likely. Yep. Or a pistol range can be made out of relatively short distances.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, that's all compelling, Mark.
Did I miss anything? Any other reasons why you actually like that as a choice?
Well, I think also the accessibility and the affordability. Glock notwithstanding, most good pistols aren't terribly expensive.
Right.
And they're set up, with this in mind. So they're certainly an approachable product. They do take a commitment, as does any firearm, and especially in this context. But it's not an unachievable goal, and certainly something that you can do on the weekends, a couple of weekends a year, and polish up. I think it was a brilliant choice.
Oh,
and I think really when you look at like the stage that you had set, especially with your home, the location of your home, the occupants of your home, the need for security, the need for accessibility, and the need for discretion, this all plays.
Excellent. Why don't we, since we have the gels on the table,
just get right into it, huh?
We have the rounds on the table. Let's go into it.
Okay.
So yeah, fired 2 different projectiles, both Hornady. One their critical defense, one their critical duty. I believe this is the critical
defense duty here.
Defense duty, yep. So I'll go there. Critical defense. The name says it all.
Yeah. It's been a very popular bullet now for quite some time.
Mm-hmm. Loaded with Hornady's patented FTX bullet. Has their flex tip. Expanding. Pretty cool stuff. That flex tip, pretty novel.
Yep.
Performs a definite needed function, in my opinion. Prevents the tip. This is the one thing that I find it, I don't know if ironic is the word or whatever, but we've clogged the tip to prevent clogging, but it works.
Yeah.
So clogging would be, Ryan.
Hollow point cavity, and this might be a thing of the past, I think.
Okay.
So if we turn the clock back a couple decades, actually a few more than a couple, and we look at pistols, and especially like police and federal duty capacities, when we got out of Magnum wheel guns that were running relatively high velocity, and when we got out of like a softer cast bullet with a hollow point or like a wad cutter design or something like that, we moved on to what we observe as conventional hollow points today. There's this interesting transitionary period where the 357 Magnum, 41 Magnum, 44 Magnum, 44 Special, and kind of higher energy cartridges fell out of vogue in favor of higher capacity, lower energy, more controllable cartridges. And just to throw a couple contemporaries out there, like 45 Auto, 9mm Luger, 40 Smith & Wesson. And now really in a couple of camps, it's almost mostly just 9 and 45. 40 still hanging on, barely. Cartridges like 357 SIG, they kind of went the wayside. Special groups still carry them. There's a couple other options out there, but I digress.
Adam we did a pistol podcast the other day, and he brought I think it was a Glock as well, 40 cal. And I was like, ooh, a classic.
Yeah.
It was all the rage for a little bit
100%, there. I understand. And that was because of that transitionary period where we got out of powerful Magnum wheel guns and into higher capacity, lower power handguns. And then all of a sudden, maybe they thought they over-indexed and we need to go with something with a little more snooze. This is what led us to effectively the 10mm, which then bred the 40 Smith & Wesson. Here again, an over-index that was toned down just a little bit, try to find that sweet spot. 40 is a fine cartridge, but the bullet technology at that time could have been better described as like a rifle hollow point and construction designed for, well, not rifle, but more Magnum performing pistols.
Designed to perform upon impact at a higher velocity. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah.
And when you download them and you put them in a small format case, like we'll just pick a 9mm, not saying that this necessarily happened, but you have a bullet that might be too high in integrity for the velocity band that it's operating at, and then also the medium that it's intended to be pushed through. So clogging, where you would shoot through, say, a layer of denim and cotton and whatever. I just want you to think of a jean jacket with a hooded sweatshirt and a flannel underneath it. So, Spokane, Washington, circa 1989. Right?
I don't know. I think that.
Well, technically, the hoodie would have been tied around the waist.
Yeah.
Okay, but
I think that look is back, honestly.
Oh, 100%.
I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing people walk around like, I remember that.
Eddie Vedder's cool again, man.
I lived that.
Yeah. So you put this material barrier between you and kind of the critical bits and bobs of your target, and you have an opportunity to fill that hollow point cavity that is requiring a fair amount of force exerting on it and in it to deploy, and then make this effective terminal package and create potentially like a full metal jacket. Now, I say that was kind of a thing of the past because bullet technology in pistols has gotten remarkably better, and Hornady's FTX loadings are an example of that. But like Federal's HST, the Barnes XPB, and Spear Lawmans and Gold Dots and those kinds of things. A lot of those bullets now have been engineered to function at that 1,200 foot per second to 900 foot per second range well, and through barrier, whatever that might be it drywall, be it clothing, auto glass, etc. And they still do function. So,
what about the black talons?
Yeah.
Cut through you like a buzzsaw.
I think it's been so long since I've seen a box of black talons. We had some at the gun shop that were like leftovers from something that we bought, and I remember like people were talking about that.
I mean, like, okay, let me throw like it may have appeared like I was throwing shade at that. I was throwing shade at the absurdity that they were like ultimately essentially banned, taken off the market when. Yeah, I'm sure they were a good bullet, but wasn't.
I think they were okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
They weren't magic.
No. So now you have these projectiles that can function through those obstacles. The FTX, I think, does an exemplary job of doubling down on kind of preventing the obstacle from preventing function. Mm-hmm. And it shows, right? So these are bullets that have been through, say, the FBI protocols. They have been through numerous schedules of testing. And we use clear ballistics gelatin. This doesn't even necessarily count. You have to use like ordnance gelatin. Then there's barrier tests, and this is a projectile, both of them, that have been very well regarded through those tests and is a top selection of law enforcement agencies and be that state or federal, and then as well as individuals free citizens, free Americans across the country. So they're a great bullet, and their reputation stands for sure. So, yeah, aside from them, I'm not going to say they're barrier blind because it's always a somewhat of a loaded statement. Aside from their capabilities in that, they also work well with no barrier. So that tip, as Mark had alluded to, that is pre-plugged to prevent plugging, does not seem to decrement their performance. It seems to potentially even just increase it, right? So,
well, I'd say, we haven't pulled these projectiles yet out of these blocks, but you can see how the tip pushed back into the bullet, and this gel isn't like super crazy when you compare it to some of the barriers that, like, the critical duty is approved, FBI approved, like you said, this is kind of pretty vanilla when you're talking about things like whatever drywall and different steel, auto glass, windshield glass.
And as we've talked about before about especially clear ballistics gelatin, it does not show you the whole story.
No.
So if you're looking at that wound cavity, you're like, it's a pencil hole. Well, that's true. It kind of self seals. It's not necessarily an accurate analog to test in because it will conceal some things. Does a good job of showing us bullet deformation, and in some cases, permanent wound cavity really well. But also understand that pistols, and especially these, it's like, let's just look at the critical. Well, no, you're doing critical defense first. So 115 grain bullet at 1135 out of the muzzle. Now, we didn't chronograph that Glock. I suspect it had been slightly lower. So we're not talking about a lot of speed.
No.
There's not a lot of horsepower behind these, but it's doing a good job. Mark, cut that rascal out of there. Mark's got
You're ready. You've been wanting me to...
He's got the salmon knife out. Mark, you did that with the proficiency of a Civil War field surgeon.
Oh, I did lose the tip. It was down in there.
Oh, that's okay.
Wow, look at that though, Ryan. Beautiful.
That looks just like the picture books. Golly, that is lovely, isn't it?
The tip was...
So, while Mark searches for the tip, yeah, he's really getting after it.
I don't know. Okay, I give up.
Okay. So, here's this .355 diameter projectile that's made this perfect blossom. And it was really cool, as you can see all like the little engineered bits and pieces that those good folks over at Hornady put into this projectile to make sure that it does function as designed and intended. Nose cavity, peels back, folds away, hits effectively the cantilever groove that's around it, and then stops its expansion so it doesn't overexpand. So remember, we were at 355 diameter from the get-go. We are now at 691.
There you go.
So we're substantially increasing the frontal area. And that's two-part, right? So we make the frontal area bigger. We displace tissue, if that's what we're firing into. So we're able to break down critical means of function for a potential assailant or coyote. And then also we're creating a break so we don't have over-penetration. Through the clear ballistics gel, Mark got about 10 inches of penetration on that projectile. So that's good. That's wonderful. Again, that was bare. There was no barricade, no barrier, no bone. So,
and I'd say performed as advertised.
Yeah.
This bullet is not intended to penetrate as, deeply as, say, the critical duty, right? I mean, it is engineered to go in, and hopefully stay in.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So
very handsome projectile. Those little squishy tips, I always get a kick out of them, whether it's on their 30-30 lever evolution ammo or this stuff. They are like a soft, kind of a rubber, which is neat. So anyway, that's what one of those rascals looks like unfired. So you can see that little red tip. It's pretty neat. Let's weigh one of these rascals.
Hold on. Give it a guess. So
yeah.
Started off at 115. We've lost the tip. I bet that tip it's pretty big. 113.
I was going to go 112. Mark Allen Boardman.
113.4.
I'll give you that one, old boy. you again have taken another V.
Another in the plus category for, the good old 9mm with what I would call like a, premium defensive option. These are loaded with low flash propellants.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and we were shooting low light, not no light.
Yeah.
But low light. And there was no, obtrusive muzzle flash or distracting muzzle flash, which if you ever get an opportunity to fire at night, either under the assist of a weapon light or just in the dark, when you touch a load off that does not have a propellant technology engineered for low flash, because what you get is a camera bulb in front of your face. Right. And it is distracting and it is disruptive to the, we'll call it the cognitive process.
Well, and it probably affects your night vision and.
Sure. Or gives away your position.
Sure.
Yep. Another merit and attribute to the pistol that I don't think we covered: capacity and mag change ability and control. So this is not a high recoiling gun. You don't do a ton of pistol shooting. And in a short amount of time, you became quite proficient with it. Certainly enough.
Proficient enough.
Yes, correct. You can always sharpen the blade. You can always get better. But the Glock 19 standard magazine capacity is 15 cartridges. You can execute a mag change in under 2 seconds, and you can have 15 more on tap. And that is a lot of firepower.
Oh, and it fits in your pocket.
Yeah, correct. It's a lot of firepower.
The magazine, I'm saying.
Yeah. If you had big pockets, if you were wearing like Jinkos, you probably put a 19 in your back pocket.
You always bring up the Jinkos.
I know you had a pair.
I never had a pair. I am proud to say that.
Yeah, it was a
I'm
phase.
beginning to think that you had a pair.
I did not have a pair.
I think
of
you're
Jinkos.
deflecting. I think you're deflecting your Jinkos. I think you got a pair right now. I think you put them on at night.
That could be. I put my Glock 19 in my pocket. So, another case for the 9mm pistol, or for that matter, any standard caliber pistol, I think is a fine idea. Capacity, firepower, the ability to reload quickly. You just need to know where all the switches and levers are, and you need to know how to manipulate that firearm. But
Again, though, I'd say oftentimes, regardless of the pistol, like pretty self-explanatory. There's really a couple levers and
release,
things to
there's
press
a
on
slide
to make
stop lever,
it work.
There's a trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool stuff, man.
Shall we cut out the critical duty?
Yeah, please do.
I'm going to take the same approach you did, Mark. I'm going to try not even to stand from my seated position here. Yeah.
You always got to one-up me.
Yeah. You know how I hate to lose. It's a real bugaboo of mine.
So, yes, this is the 9mm plus P 135 grainer.
Yep.
With their flex lock bullet.
Yep.
In the critical duty.
Which you might add made 18 inches of penetration. There was some slight rebound, which is something that Mark and I have observed on multiple occasions, especially with larger frontal area, lower velocity chamberings. Oh, my stars. Look at that. Every time I do this, it reminds me of Jurassic Park when he's looking at the amber. This is Jurassic Park. Here, I believe we have the same outcome, ultimately. We have a controlled expansion on a projectile, but in a fairly different manner. And it's evident to me that the design of the bullet actually limits expansion more so.
Right.
In favor of penetration.
Right.
Yes. And I believe that's what you were alluding to when we talked about kind of the design element between this. Because this is a bullet probably we'd be more likely to see inside of a law enforcement officer's handgun or subgun, where we could be encountering mediums like windshield glass, vehicle skins, Carhartt jackets, snowmobile jackets, these tough things that need to be broken down and deliver payload to target on. And so it's really cool. There's two grooves that are in we'll call it the shank of the bullet that are going to act like a mechanical lock and keep that core installed through that process. What's the launch velocity on these, Mark?
Let me see if I can find that for you, Ryan. 1070.
Okay. So a little bit slower, but they are a bit heavier. And in the, I guess, context of a pistol, 115 grains to 135 is a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big jump. So launch diameter was 355. Recovered diameter was 520.
Okay.
But we also have some peel back here. So I would have to wager a guess. I'm afraid to kind of peel that out because I'm going to break it off. But at some point, that bullet was significantly wider in diameter.
Sure.
Right. So fired weight was 135. We lost the tip. Mark, wager your guess.
I'm going to say 134.
I'm going to say 133.
I should say 134.5.
133.8.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Why did I breathed on it? 134 even.
Oh, that rascal. He is such a stinker.
Again, performed as advertised.
Yeah. The question is like, which one of these is the best for home defense? I think both, right?
I mean, I think both. If you told me to pick one for, I'd say, the situations I hope I never encounter, but would think if something were to happen, I think the critical defense is probably more in the camp of scenarios I would be personally dealing with.
Can we talk about the drywall yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was neat. So if you didn't watch the video, you really gotta go look at it. Our facilities crew here, who is the handiest group of all the groups, put together a standard wall. So we had it framed 2x4. We had it filled with, I believe, 2 layers of insulation, 2 sheets of drywall, and then mudded over the fasteners. Did a really just nice job.
Just a bang-up job.
Yep.
Then we ruined it.
Yeah, we did. We shot through it into gel behind it from a distance of, I think we shot from 7-ish yards. The gel was behind the...
It might have even been closer to 9 yards.
It could be. The gel was behind the wall a good 6 feet.
Ish.
Yeah. And we had the gel positioned on like a plastic Adirondack chair.
Vertically.
Yeah. So we would have had a cross-section similar to this.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking, 8 inches, perhaps. Both of those loads blew through the wall, blew through the gel, blew through the Adirondack chair.
Yes.
Unrecovered.
I expected to go through the wall.
Yep.
I thought that
they
would get caught in the gel.
I honestly would have too. I would have thought for sure the critical defense, knowing that it's a bit of a softer bullet.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we would have caught it. We retained some tips in there. So we knew that the expansion component was still working after being pushed through 2 layers of drywall, 2 layers of insulation, some stud material, perhaps.
It's an interesting observation, but it's not like the tip got lost after impacting the drywall.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think you make an important note there, Mark. Your expectation was that it was going to go through the wall. Mm-hmm. Because with enough Mountain Dew, we could punch through that wall. Right. What I guess I didn't...
you couple that with playing video games all day, just your mindset is,
ready. I'm so ready. It went right through the gel. And what this for me exemplifies is we can get really hung up on that over-penetration thing. I have bad news. It's all over-penetrating.
You'd be hard-pressed to find something that's not now, and I'm glad for this, but also is a medium with a little bit more water in it going to catch them? Do you think it catches them, or do you think it passes through?
No, I think it does a good job of stopping them. Oh, you mean like if we used ordnance gel?
Yeah.
Very possible. Yeah. So we have somewhat of a correlation between penetration between the two mediums in that we generally observe it as a little less than half. So like when we were shooting 300 Super Wisdom, into clear ballistics gel, we saw significantly more penetration, about double, when the bullet would properly expand. When we switched to ordnance gel, the penetrative depth was cut in half. Also, the rate of expansion was accelerated.
Well, that's what I wonder. Like, I wonder if that's actually not an apples to apples comparison to this, because these are expanding right away in this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think they're expanding as fast as they would through ordnance gel. Yeah. So pretty certain of that. We can revisit that. I got 50 pounds of powder at my desk. That makes a lot of Jell-O.
Do we have another follow-up experiment on our
Actually,
hands?
I think it's closer to 70 pounds.
There's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Might as well use it. It's been sitting there for a while.
I know. We got to do that. We bought the forms and everything. But, yeah, so in any event, like, whether it penetrates the gelatin or not, they zip through that drywall like it was nothing.
Right.
Yeah. So be cognizant of that. If I switch that to, a 64 grain TBBC or a soft point bullet out of a 223, I think I exacerbate the issue, or at least guarantee it. I don't know that there's something necessarily that doesn't poke through it. Maybe 22 LR. I don't know. Even then, I think a 22 LR goes through that. Birdshot went through it.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
So just be cognizant of that. We always hear about overpenetration.
It's a thing.
Yes, it is. It's like a guaranteed certainty, unless you're hitting something first. Just straight drywall with insulation behind it, man, just shoo right through, break on through.
Yeah, it didn't really appear to care a whole lot.
Not so much. And that I would say was our expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So 9mm pistol, it's convenient, it's portable, it's accessible, it's concealable, it's containable. It is effective.
And, there's ammunition purpose-built for that task.
Would you change anything?
In my selection?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I will note Mark could add a weapon light to his pistol.
Oh. Yeah, I would do that.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't have one on for the exercise, but
it was more of a holster compliance issue than it was anything else.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess the size of the pistol, right, the Glock 19, being a concealed, like doubling in my mind as a concealed carry pistol, like I went with the Defender, CCW on it, just a little bit lower profile dot. If I was going strictly home defense, I might go to more of like a full-size pistol with a weapon light, with a Defender ST or even the XL on it.
Sure.
Because why not?
Sure. Yep. You don't have a daily need for concealment. It's a gun that likely lives most of its life inside of this box. As long as it fits in the box, things are okay. Give yourself a little bit of a tactical advantage. Now, before we move on to my selection, I do want to circle back to the carbines.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right. So one of the guns that I had brought that we did not use was a 9mm carbine. Yeah, they're a cool gun. There's a slight barrel advantage to that gun. It's a 5.5-inch gun. So maybe you pick up a little bit of velocity. You definitively pick up a lot of bit of control.
Yes.
Because it is shoulderable. And it has on it a weapon light. It has on it a suppressor. It has on it a red dot. I have shot it to 200 yards. And this is not something I can do with a pistol. Not reliably anyway. Like I can let it, I played at 200. I might hit it. But you do have an extremely viable option in that. That particular gun takes Glock pattern magazines. So I can put a 10-round Glock 26 magazine in it. I can put a 33-round Glock 18 magazine in it. Any double stack 9mm Glock magazine fits in it. So there's a ton of versatility there. The recoil control, the ability, again, to place rounds accurately is a definite benefit. And I think the same thing goes for like a conventional AR pattern, right? So pick your poison on that one, whether it's a 10.5 SBR, a 300 blackout that's 8 inches long, or a full-blown 20-inch M16A2. So tons of firepower, highly capable cartridge, and with the right bullet pairing, wildly devastating. I'm thinking like 35 grain NTX, 55 grain VMAX, something like that, like a very disruptive bullet, spectacularly capable.
That's one thing that I've wondered about for like just your typical AR in a home defense, for a home defense application, like that 55 grain VMAX. I would think, like, again, I've never shot it at close range.
Devastating.
But I think it'd be devastating. And talking about over penetration, I just wonder.
There's potential that bullet disrupts because of its velocity and its construction to the point that perhaps you end up in a better scenario than you would even with 9mm because of its low velocity and construction.
Mm-hmm.
I've never fired a 55 grain VMAX through drywall and insulation. I have punched a good number of coyotes with it, and it does not really go through them.
I was going to say, are you getting exits with it?
No, I think the last one that I shot with a 55 grain, I switched to the 60 grain VMAX for just a little more punch, and they'd pop through sometimes.
We still have that wall.
Yeah. Could probably build another.
Okay. I should have brought my notepad.
Yeah.
Got a couple of follow-up projects.
Now, what I don't like about just specifically an AR is how disruptive it is to shoot without ear pro.
Okay.
And so I have shot short barrel format ARs in confined spaces. So vehicles and homes. And they shake your teeth if you don't have ear pro on. Even when you have ear pro on, they're very concussive. And that's fine because they are effective. But that does act as a detriment to you because we have to kind of put ourselves into an interesting frame of mind. If you've never been woken up in the middle of the night by a sound that you don't know, headlights in your vehicle or headlights in your driveway you don't know, you're not with it when you open your eyes. You're not calibrated. And then all of a sudden you have to make this decision like, oh my gosh, somebody's in the pantry. And it doesn't sound like the neighborhood raccoon looking for a can of SpaghettiOs. Like,
we've all been there.
Yeah, right? And so you grab this thing that is going to light you up when you start pressing the trigger. And like it takes a bit out of you, right? And so you should consider that. That's why that little GHM9 that I have has a suppressor on it.
Right.
And it's not quiet. Like if I shoot it indoors with no hearing protection on it, it's loud. But it's way more doable than like an 8.5-inch PDW that I have, or a 14.5 gun that I have. Like those light you up. And so there is a part of that. And then I say that and I pick the shotgun, by the way, which is loud as hell. I argue not as bad, but yeah, that is something to consider with it. Their manipulations are not complex. Their firepower is incredible. Mag changes are, I argue, potentially faster than a pistol with a little bit of training. And they are also a little more versatile on target. So and I'm painting a pretty grim scenario here, but if you had somebody in a vehicle engaging you,
sure,
I would be more comfortable with a carbine.
Oh yeah.
And then if any distance comes into the equation, I am more comfortable with the carbine. Nonetheless, I didn't pick one. I picked a shotgun.
And I'm not going to tell you it's the wrong choice.
Oh, I agree. That's why I picked it. Should we do movie magic and change the gels?
Let's do it.
And just like that.
So simple.
None of that will line up. So, I picked the shotgun.
Why?
Well, a couple of reasons. And not because the sound of a shotgun racking will deter any... That's such a...
few things have I heard repeated more than that.
Yeah.
I can tell you this. If the pump shotgun comes to be the implement in which I'm defending my castle, nobody will hear it being racked.
I agree. I picked the shotgun for a few reasons. First and foremost, I'm fairly handy with a shotgun.
Can I say something else too?
Yeah, please.
Maybe I shouldn't say this. Even if the threat, even if the
raccoon trying to steal your,
even if the threat, heard that sound, I've likely made my decision.
Correct. We are defending.
It's not a warning.
No.
And I don't think. I wish we had one of the edge guys here, but I'm not sure that's even a good strategy.
Certainly
not. Don't you think you're kind of? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Random question. When was the last time you had SpaghettiOs?
It's been a fair number of years.
Yeah. Might want to crack a can open.
Middle school?
Oh, that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
What about you?
It has to have been more recent than that for me. I want to say that I was in my 20s.
Okay.
Yeah. So I picked a shotgun because I'm pretty comfortable with a shotgun. Pretty useful tool. I used to compete with them. So I was gonna
try to get you to elaborate on that when you're just like, oh, I'm comfortable with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Like at one time, Ryan,
I shot them pretty good.
That's all you're gonna give me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I shot them pretty good. And pump class in specific. So proficiency was a big thing for me. Secondly is firepower. So they are a powerful tool. They are a very powerful tool. And in some cases, depending on how you weigh the metric of power, let's take buckshot, for example. This was Fiocchi, low recoil, 9-pellet, double-aught buckshot. And so these are approximately 55 grain round balls, approximately 32 caliber, going 1,200 feet per second, which is more powerful than 32 ACP, which is not a terrible pistol cartridge. More importantly, it's 9 of them per trigger press. And they pattern quite well, even through a cylinder bore, like in the distances that you would have your typical household. So we'll say 50 feet or less. If your center mass with 9-pellet buckshot or 8-pellet buckshot, or if you really want to get wild, some number 4 buck with the right wad, that's multiple target strikes with a single trigger press instantaneously. And there's something to be said for that. So like every target that you engaged in the field course that we did, or in the shoot course that we did, 2 trigger presses. You had a recovery and then an engagement. And it's not like your bullets were touching each other every time.
Nope.
Right? You were moving, you were scooting, you were shooting. You had dispersal on target. That's to be expected. With this, it's center mass, engage, and move on. And I quite appreciate that about a shotgun. Second or third would be the versatility. So it's a 12-gauge shotgun. It happens to be a pump. That was intentional so that I'm not constrained or constricted to high energy loads, which in some cases, and I think especially in this case, is actually beneficial. So even shooting slugs, so 1 ounce projectiles, big boys, very controllable. And I can shoot them quickly. Same thing with the buckshot, same thing with the birdshot. So pump, because if it goes in there, I can make it go bang and make it come out. And I'm not constrained to a gas operating system or an inertia operating system that's going to require some level of propellant or recoil force to cycle and function. And especially if it's a gun that I'm not working with on a weekly cadence and I don't know necessarily what its behaviors or mannerisms are. Now, if I had my druthers, it would actually have been Gen 1 Benelli Nova.
Sure.
And
why the Gen 1?
The Gen 2 is a 3-inch gun. The Gen 1's a 3.5. Not because I feel like I need to shoot 3.5s, but specifically a Benelli Nova. And it would have started as and we talked about this, but then we backed Ryan off this ledge. It would have started as like a 24 or 26 inch field gun that I would have cut down to minimum allowable requirement, rethreaded for chokes, and dovetailed in a set of XS mini sights on. And then put a +2 Nordic Components magazine tube extension on. And the reason for that is the gun is a 3.5 inch gun. It fairly reliably cycles the mini shells available from Federal and Aguila, or Aguila, however you say it. I don't know if the two L's make a Y, which is novel, but also not to be overlooked. And it will cycle all the way up to 3.5 inch turkey and goose loads, or 3.5 inch slugs, or 3.5 inch buckshot loads. So if it's a 12 gauge shell, it goes in the gun. I can put it in the chamber, and I can get it out of the chamber and load the next subsequent shell. And so to me, that is like a feel-good tactical thing. And any shot shell loaded with high antimony lead or buckshot or slug is terminal at the right distance in the right target. And I'm not advocating that you buy a 12 gauge shotgun and you load it with birdshot for home defense. I do not think it would be ineffective.
Right.
Yes. In fact, I know with great certainty that it is effective in that context. So it's the full package. It's proficiency, it's firepower, it's versatility in ammunition selection. And like a lot of people, especially up here in the Midwest, are hunters. We hunt ducks, we hunt geese, we hunt rabbits, we hunt pheasants, we hunt turkeys. It's probably something you might have on hand. There are certain models I think that are more adept for what we were doing. So this was a shorter format gun. It was a Mossberg 590. So this is like a very common police and military issued shotgun. It has an integral magazine tube extension on it. So its magazine tube is a magazine tube. It holds 8 shells, and that's a lot of 12 gauge. And especially when you start counting it like buckshot.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not good at math, but 9 times 8 is
72.
Yeah, it's a fairly high number. So it's like kind of like having a 72 round magazine.
As long as you're hitting.
Yep. And they're generally quick to reload. They require gross motor function as opposed to like finite motor function. So you grab the fore end and you pull it back and you push it forward. And your shells are big. They're not little. We're not having to load individual shells into a tiny magazine. It's a shell on the bottom and shoop, or it's a shell in the load port and slide forward. And so they can, under duress, be a really, really easy tool to work with. And then, like I said, if it's a 12 gauge shell, it almost guarantees it's effective in this context. And if it goes in the gun and it can go bang and it can come out and a new one can get put in, there's a lot of heartwarming there with that. So the block that we have in front of us, because we shot birdshot, buckshot, and slugs into independent blocks. This one has all three, just a little bit of cinematic effect and kind of show you what the capabilities of these 3 different loadings are.
Well, and I like that it really illustrates, at least in the permagel, the penetration differences.
Yep. So
and what those wound channels,
yeah,
what it simulates, I guess.
Yeah. So if you're looking at the video from left to right, you can see a relatively shallow penetration, probably 4.5, 5 inches of birdshot. These are number 8 pellets. These were reduced recoil, like Winchester wind lights. So these are 860 feet per second. This is hundreds of feet per second lower than what your typical trap load is. Usually those are about 1145 to 1250, depending. It's also a reduced shot charge. So there's not 1 ounce and 1/8 of pellets. There's like 26 grams of pellets, whatever that works out to. It's a light load, right?
Well, I think that's incredibly important to point out, because what we're talking about here is like essentially
worst case
scenario. And I look at it and I'm not unimpressed by it.
Nope, not at all. And so again, this isn't an advocating for using very low recoil birdshot as your premier home defense option. But in the worst case scenario, like this is less power than your average 410 dove and clay load, right? A few more pellets, but less per pellet energy, right? And it's still got up to 6 inches of penetration. I think that was what the deepest pellet went. And it's a whole swarm of them. It's a couple hundred of them, in fact. And in the right place, it's very difficult to impossible to patch a couple hundred holes through a lot of different tissue structures, some of which move air, some of which move blood, some of which move electrical function. And so, yeah, it will work. Moving further right, we can see the Fiocchi 9 pellet buckshot penetrating, over 20 inches in some cases. And so here again, I mentioned this was 00 buck, or double aught buck as it's called, about 32 caliber, about 55 grains, and significant penetration. These are like a medium to high antimony lead ball. So they track pretty well when they're going through medium. You can see there's a kind of a dispersal of them, but not super erratic. They don't really deform or flatten out. And then furthest to the right would be the 1 ounce Remington reduced recoil slug. So all three of these loads were loads that I competed with when I would shoot tactical shotgun, and intentionally because they could still deliver payload to target. Like we'd shoot the low recoil slugs to 125 yards. We'd shoot the buckshot to 30, and we'd shoot birdshot with choke tube management, probably do about 30, 35. Aerial targets might be a little bit further. And you could own the whole course of fire with the selection. And so they do doubly well in this context. Biggest reason for reduced recoil though is just control.
Shootability.
Yeah. So I can come back on target quickly. It's not knocking me sideways like you might think a 12 gauge would inspire you. They're not rattling my teeth loose with concussive force. And I'm still putting really adequate payload on target. Yeah. We can cut something out if you want.
I'd be curious about the slug
You
at
want to?
least.
Okay. I'm going to use the salmon knife. A little bit of rebound on that slug. Not a lot of MV on that. That was 1 ounce at I think 1,200 feet per second.
Oh,
You think I can make that with just a single cut?
I think so.
Oh yeah, no sweat. Gotcha. Look at that. It's funny because you can see where it contacted pellets on its way through.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shot the slug last.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild though.
Yeah. Here we have a 1 ounce rifled slug. You'll notice that the slug obturates to fit the bore, and that the bore presses in those little rifling fins.
Right.
Common misconception, this thing spins. No, they kind of just come out. But they're weight forward, so they fly true like an arrow. And they are capable of some pretty outstanding accuracy. If you're a hunter in a slug zone, try a rifled choke tube and rifled slugs. Often you'll find those are really quite nice to shoot. So 1 ounce would be 437.5 grains. Mark, this is the projectile if you want to handle it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think the base wad is in here too. Yeah, that's not going to count into the projectile as far as I'm aware. Maybe the base wad's in there.
That's good. I think.
Oh yeah,
you got
it's there. Maybe we'll call this a gas check. Yeah, there it is. Little donut.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for.
Okay, I'm going to go 436.8.
Oh dear.
435.9.
436.
436. Even. Yeah. So you don't lose much.
No.
What if they do count that?
Well, and even after a couple essentially strikes on the way in.
Yeah. Hit some pellets on the way through. Here's the thing with slugs, though. You basically make a giant pistol out of your shotgun. You then severely reduce your technical capacity because we don't have multiple projectiles. And you introduce something that is going to go through everything. I think we could have had 3 of those walls set up, and I think it would have passed right through. So fire diameter should have been about 720, 740 after obturation. I do not award this any expansion point. 730 is what it does. But big chunk of lead, effective at breaking down a vehicle, effective at actually intentionally going through barricade or barrier.
Sure.
In order to hit target on the other side, and won't penetrate armor. But if that rascally neighborhood raccoon that broke into your pantry and was stealing your SpaghettiOs happened to be wearing plates, 1 ounce of material on target at 1,200 feet per second is extremely disruptive, and that's a lot of force to be exerted on 10 by 12 plate.
It is.
Yeah.
Going back to the bird shot,
yeah,
and the buckshot,
mm-hmm.
I think sometimes folks who may be less familiar, they think like, oh, well, I got a shotgun, so I basically don't even need to aim. Like, if I get close, like we're gonna, whatever, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. The old movie Hip Shot.
Yeah. And even at that range, which I'd say is, approximately like 10 yards with the bird shot, and that wasn't like some sort of crazy tight choke.
No, cylinder bore.
Really all but a few of the pellets landed in this, nominal
8 by 10
yep. face of the block, right?
Yep.
The buckshot, even tighter.
Yep.
And I'd say, for the viewers right now, they can just see kind of like the final resting place, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back to where those pellets kind of began tracking, visually, golf ball, right?
And if you watch that video too, you can see me not edge. I was in set the edge a bit, but you can see me take a shot right of center mass on one of the IPSC targets, and the pattern is a golf ball.
Right.
So you can miss with a shotgun. Absolutely you can. And this was like most opportunity possible cylinder bore. So yeah, there's still discipline required. This isn't a walk in the room, level the gun from the hip. All the bad guys fall down at one time. Not at all. Just like your pistol, just like your carbine. This requires a concerted aim to hit target. As you increase distance, that opens up a little bit. But again, we're talking about the confines of a structure,
mm-hmm.
a home. So
now with practice, which I know you have a lot of with the, tactical shotgun, pump shotgun, watching you manipulate it and move through the course, very fluid.
It's been years.
Well, you looked great. But definitely, something to consider.
Oh yeah. Yep. Pretty, like I said, cool part about them is the very low need for finite motor skills in functioning that system. So you pull the trigger, it goes bang, you pull the thing back, you push the thing forward. And some of those semi-autos out there too, like, it's always funny because I'm harping on the effectiveness and inherent reliability of the pump shotgun as being spectacularly better than that of the auto. Yeah, I competed in tactical shotgun and shot a pump because divisionally that put me at an advantage. When I shot like regular multi-gun, I shot a Benelli M2 or a Benelli Vinci, both semi-autos. And boy, do those things run.
Yeah.
And boy, do they run. And they keep running. And so, like, I had all the trust in the world. Like, I could go drive, 1,000 miles to a match, have hundreds of dollars in entry fees, hundreds or thousands of dollars in equipment with me, all for, a grand total of about 8 minutes of shooting over the course of a 3-day match weekend. And like, I picked up my shotgun and was like, that thing will never let me down. And it never did.
Right.
Like, any weapon failure that I had was either ammunition induced because it was like a bunk round, or it was my position not holding the gun right, or like contact with a barricade. Those auto guns are, especially like the Benellis, I'm very, very, very partial to the inertia operating systems of the Benellis. They just run like crazy. And like Adam and Ruben shoot Kalashnikov style shotguns. I think Adam still shoots a fair amount of Benelli pattern guns. And those guys will tell you like, oh yeah, I don't remember the last time I had a fail to feed, fail to fire, fail to extract. It just doesn't happen. Like, guns are built well. The pump, again, really it's more to accommodate the mini shells, the low recoil stuff that does not have a lot of energy, that does not have a lot of force behind it to reciprocate the action. But don't fear your favorite, Benelli M1, M2, Winchester Super X2, 3, 4, Franke, whatever. They're all very good guns these days.
Cool, man.
Buy a shotgun.
Buy a shotgun. That's a quote.
That is a quote. That is a quote.
I even heard a song made out of it.
Oh, yeah. One of the great masters of our history.
Cool stuff, man.
Yeah. All viable. Takes training.
It does.
Yep.
And I think we may have even said this in the video, but it may come down to the one that you have.
Yeah.
And the good news is they're all going to work.
Yep. I agree.
So
I agree.
You wouldn't change your choice?
I would not. Well, I would. I would modify the gun.
Okay.
Yeah. So I swapped. The Mossberg 590 is an amazing gun. Very, very storied history of being a fantastic implement and tool. Again, if I had my druthers, it's a Gen 1 Nova. Yeah.
Now that's a pick one. Is your real choice all three?
Oh yeah, one on hand, right? And to be honest with you, it is all three.
Right.
So, yeah, that little GHM9, that's not a Safe Queen. That's like, it's a tool. As is the Glock I wear every day. Yes, it's the one on hand is the best tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, you know me. I always think more is better.
Yeah.
In general.
Let's go buy some more shotguns.
Buy a shotgun. Cool, man. Well, I enjoyed that. That was fun.
Real quick, I forgot to mention. Buckshot and slugs also go through drywall instantaneously, as if it wasn't even there.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So we shot buck and slug through the drywall at the ballistics gelatin. Here again, same thing with the pistol. We blew through the drywall as if it was a non-existent barricade, or if at best it was paper mache. And both loads went clean through the gelatin on the other side. So even low recoil buckshot, you do have a risk, not run, but have a risk of over-penetrative capability, and certainly with slugs. I'd be curious to know how many walls we'd have to line up before we could stop a slug.
Yikes.
Yeah. I think it's 3 more than however many walls it takes to stop the buck, unless you hit a stud.
Right.
Yeah.
That was another thing. Like, I was like, oh, we'll catch the buckshot. No. Yeah, that was a surprise for me.
Yeah, I figured it was going through.
And then also the level of, like I said, these weren't some sort of snoosed up shotgun load with the bird shot, and they went through the drywall.
Yep.
By and large, no problem.
Yep. Carved hole.
We did do that.
Fairly big hole.
We did do that.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. It was neat to see.
Yeah.
It definitely answered some questions for me.
Sure.
Some things that I was curious about, or you wonder about, or you hear about. You're like,
Yep.
well, I don't know. Now I know.
Now we know.
What about the folks out there? What do you know? Did you learn anything from this? What's your go-to for home defense? Is it one? Is it all three? Let us know. What's your choice? What's your number one? What's your number one? If you had to pick one.
I hope somebody out there is a Kevin McAllister type, and it's like a series of booby traps made out of like a grill igniter, a blowtorch, a paint can on a string.
That's basically a kid's film, but I mean, there's like when you really like analyze it, like there's in the grant, hey, it's bad guys.
Yep.
No mercy, but like it's pretty sinister stuff going on there.
Big time. They were coming for him. They're going to bite his fingers off. Yep. My gold tooth.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Let us know in the comments below. What's your go-to? What's your number one for home defense? What'd you like about this video? Anything that you want to see? Did we miss anything? There. All right. Call us. Until next time, happy hunting and shooting. We'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
There you have it, folks. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, give this video a like if you liked it, comment something below, and give us a subscribe to the Vortex Nation podcast channel. It would mean a lot to us. Also, why don't you give us a follow over on Instagram while you're at it, at Vortex Nation Podcast. We'd love to hear from you over there, and we'll keep you updated with all kinds of cool photos and videos from our adventures that we do here. Otherwise, we will see you on the next one. Thank you again. Happy hunting and shooting, everybody. Have a good one.